It's time now to have the finals of our startup competition with the 3 companies that made it out of 16. And so I will have on stage now Chris Shipley, who has coordinated our startup competition, and the 3 judges who are here with us: Philippe Botteri of Accel Partners, Lukasz Gadowski of Team Europe, and David Hornik from August Capital in Silicon Valley. Please join me on stage. Ça va?
Talk to them first.
Hello, Lukasz. David. Chris? Oh, I'm sorry. I had also called Chris. Chris, welcome. Thank you. How was it?
Very good.
Yeah?
We had a fun time yesterday.
Are you going to sit there?
I'm here to stand. I'm going to.
You like to stand?
Yes.
Okay,
do.
great. So I
We're
can
good.
sit here, I guess. Please.
So we had a fantastic startup competition. More than 400 companies applied to be part of LeWeb London Startup Competition. And we chose 16 finalists from among those 400 who presented yesterday on the second stage. Great presentations. Each company presented their business for 6 minutes. We had panels of judges who questioned them for 5, and then went through a long deliberation to come up with our 3 finalists that will present this afternoon. Do you want to know who they are?
Do you want to call?
Should we just jump in and start seeing some presentations?
Yes.
Excellent. Well, let's do that then. Let's start with, and these are finalists in no particular order. All of them, I think, great startup companies. The first presentation we'll hear from this afternoon is Gene Trainer.
So, for you, you may not know it yet, but everyone in this room will have their genome sequenced by the end of the decade. DNA sequencing is a done deal. The big question that remains is what to do with all this information. Access to your DNA is going to be the biggest worldwide behavior changer since the internet. When we do sport, we're presented with a huge number of choices, even though we know exactly what we're trying to achieve. Questions like, how far, how fast, what intensity, how much time should I take off? The fact is that what works for one doesn't necessarily work for all. You might have a friend who runs 3 times a week and loses loads of weight. You do the same as him and lose nothing. It turns out that genetic variation has a profound influence on the way that we respond to exercise. So now we have this information. What do we do with it? What we don't want is to be told what sport to do. What we want to know is what's the quickest way to achieving our sporting goals. The second thing that we don't want is to have to change our entire lives to stay up to date with the training plan. We want the training plan to stay up to date with us. Gene Trainer is a service which provides fitness advice guided by your DNA, including a training plan that stays up to date with you. It's very, very simple to use. In fact, if you have a personal trainer, Gene Trainer can help that person get the best out of you. If you don't, it will give you a plan. So you first select your fitness goals. These can be things like losing weight, gaining endurance, or just general physical health. Then you connect your DNA. And DNA testing is really, really simple these days and very, very cheap. It currently costs less to sequence your DNA than to fill your car with gas. And it's really as simple as just spitting in a tube, sending it off, and a couple of weeks later you have access to your results. So now time for a quick live demo. And we're going to log in as Patrick, who has been trying to lose some weight. So when you arrive on the site, the first thing that you see is your training plan. And that's been generated using your DNA. Simply click on a day, and you'll see the exercises recommended for you. Gene Trainer can even learn from how the training went. You also have access to a dashboard, which has all the metrics that you need to measure your progress. So for example, here we can see that Patrick has been successfully losing weight. These numbers are also a really, really nice source of inspiration for doing more sport. Adding a new metric is as simple as connecting a new device. Once a new device is connected, GeneTrainer stays automatically up to date with it. But there's more to GeneTrainer than just a training plan. You also have a whole range of information about diet, injury risk, recovery time, and much, much more. So for example, here, we can see the risk of tendon injury and what we can do to prevent it, such as specific strengthening and flexibility exercises. So to go back to the presentation, all of this is based on, grounded in solid science. In fact, GeneTrainer was a spin-out from the computational biology group at the University of Bristol, headed by Professor Goff. And what the system does is build a profile of you based on the variations associated with exercise. And each of those variations has been validated in peer-reviewed scientific publications. The great thing here as well is that as a new gene or variation is discovered, and it is very frequently, it's added to GeneTrainer, which constantly updates your results, improves the accuracy of your results. GeneTrainer doesn't do genetic testing, but is compatible with all major commercial offerings. Currently, there are 300,000 people in the USA who have access to their DNA, and a recent $50 million investment in 23andMe, a US company, has resulted in them lowering their kit price to $99 with the goal of 1 million users this year. And we have access to that data through their API. So what we're doing here is we're bringing the DNA, the goals, and all the information from these connected devices, which allows us to provide a quality of advice that was higher than ever before. This brings immense value to the preventative medicine and enhancement of health, which is a massively growing part of the global healthcare industry right now. So we would like to announce that we are launching in beta today, and we'll be launching publicly in a couple of months, and that it's most likely going to be a subscription-based model, so a one-time payment for a lifetime subscription. And then just a very quick look at the team behind this. So I'm ex-Google product manager. Patrick over here is engineer from Capgemini, and then we've got Julian somewhere who has been previously done his research at Stanford, Cambridge, and Pasteur in Paris. And then somewhere out there is Peter Cook, who's our sports trainer. And then Livio Bondi and Charlie Zino, graphic designers, and Chris Carday, our advisor. So thank you very much. If you have any questions.
Great. So as our process was yesterday, we'll now do 5 minutes of Q&A. It's your chance to ask any questions that would help you make your decision as judges.
So have you thought about integrating the DNA sampling and working with partners, but being the front end so that people can first, when they arrive to the site, you take them by the hand because they don't know a lot about DNA testing, and they can just register on your website, pay on your website, and then you outsource it, you work with 23andMe or other partners, and by the way, get a referral fee in the process. But that would be a way to onboard the customer more easily instead of saying, well, go to all these providers and then come back once it's done. Have you thought about this?
So you mean siding with one particular provider? Is that
well, working with one provider,
yeah,
or even two providers or three providers, but
yeah,
take care of the DNA sampling, which may be a hurdle for customer adoption.
So there's two sides to this. One is, for example, 23andMe, it's actually possible to sign up already to them in the same flow as signing up to GeneTrainer. But the other thing is that different providers actually offer different add-on services. So for example, 23andMe specialize mainly in medicine and to a certain extent ancestry, but there are other companies out there that really focus on ancestry. So it really depends on what the customer wants. You know, if they're interested in ancestry and sport, or medicine and sport, because there's add-ons before provided by 23.
The question will become moot over time as everybody has their genome sequenced anyway.
So I'm pretty sure if you tested my genes, it would tell me to sit on a couch. That's what it would. That would be my gene training. Would be sit down, don't hurt yourself. You know, with 23andMe and a number of these companies, they have been very careful to not tell you what to do, to not tell you that you're at risk of anything, et cetera, because they haven't been able to, I think, validate the science. And so I'm wondering, how are you thinking, they're not giving medical advice. They're not, they're being very careful about liability. And I'm wondering how you're thinking about that in the context of training, or is it the kind of thing where, the outcomes are either slightly better or slightly worse, but you won't be subject to liability if you're wrong about the science?
Well,
ask Dr. Science.
Ask the scientist.
Yeah. So I think it's not entirely accurate what you said about 23andMe. They don't tell you what to do, but they do provide very clearly and obviously things about risk and about your reaction to certain drugs. I don't think we're as exposed because we're not medical. We're talking about healthy people. And we're not giving specific advice, it's more guidance.
So this is also about, if you're presented with a number of choices to go about your training goal, different types of cardio exercise, for example, it's choosing one over another in that particular context, so it's also very unlikely that that would send people on a really bad route.
I mean, you're correct. There's an issue. We'll be careful.
So first of all, congratulations to choosing such a great field. Yeah, I think you're right that by the end of the decade, everybody will have his genome tested, and this whole personal health is on the rise. So I think you picked the right field. But the question is, like always with timing: are you too early? Are you too late? And when I look at your product, in the audience maybe, because of now everybody heard it, yeah? So like, who of you...
Lukasz, you need to ask a question.
Yeah,
because they have a very limited time.
So I would like to ask a question to the audience. And the question to the audience is like, after listening to this pitch, who of you thinks that you can improve your training dramatically using this tool? Please raise your hand. Yeah, so that's a pretty good ratio. Question to you. Do you think of your service like your main USP is like this genetic addition, or do you think of your company as like offering this planning tool?
Was the first one, sorry?
No, so your company has two parts. One is the planning tool. So you offer like you pitch the consumer, hey, use our planning tool, and then we will tell you how to train using your genome. But those like two, do you think of this as two parts, or like is it like more like one?
If I understand correctly, very much together. It's the plan and the devices are very much together in that respect.
It's like the nature-nurture question. You have your genetics, and you have the things that you do. You need both.
The question is if it's not of too much of a niche. Yeah? But the audience seems very excited, so seem to be on a good path.
You have 10 seconds to explain to Lukasz why it's not a niche.
Why it's not?
He says it's a niche. It's too niche. It's too small.
Your USP is a niche. The training program, maybe not.
I'm trying to translate him into English, which gets,
Everybody wants it.
Everybody wants it. There you go. Well, that's the time we have for the Q&A. Thank you, judges. Thank you to Gene Trainer, and congratulations again for being one of our finalists.
Lukasz, I hope you don't take my remarks in any bad way. Okay, I'm just playing, right?
He'll translate my English next.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Excellent. All right, our second finalist is a company in a very different sector. Please welcome to the stage Pricing Assistant.
Hi everyone, I'm Martin, the CEO of Pricing Assistant. At Pricing Assistant, we do pricing optimization for online stores. I'm French. I love wine. Actually, I sell wine. This is a bottle from the family winery in Burgundy. This is my partner, Sylvain, the CTO of Pricing Assistant. Sylvain, he loves music. He loves music so much that he created a free music online platform called Jamendo. And with Sylvain, we both face the same issue, selling on internet. And what is great with e-commerce is that you have tools for every aspect of your business. You can create your online stores with PrestaShop. There is a tool for advertising, Google AdWords. For payment, you have PayPal. And there is a tool for marketing, MailChimp. But what is the tool for pricing? Well, there is no tool. There is no tool because pricing is still at Stone Age. And why do e-merchants need a pricing tool? Well, because there are so many competitors, don't you think? And so many products. Today, e-merchants use Google and Price Comparator to monitor the competition, but it can't be done for all products. E-merchant and passive pricing won't work. E-merchant, they miss opportunities. They miss margin, they miss sales, they miss profit. Our solution is a simple pricing tool that gives smart recommendation to maximize the profit of online stores. How do we do that? Well, let's take an example of Greg. Greg has an online drugstore with 8,000 products. It's one of our users. And he's selling this shampoo at $5.49, and he has a simple question. Can I raise my price without losing sales? So what has Greg done to use Pricing Assistant? Well, first, he has to set a little module in his back office. It's really simple. It's 2 clicks. Download, install. And after, well, nothing. Nothing because we find competitors, and we match the product, and we are doing it automatically. We developed a great algorithm to do that. We use web scraping to identify competitors, and we use machine learning and semantic analysis to match the product of Greg with the product of all his competitors, so that Greg can access to our panel and see the dashboard and see the list of products. And here is our example of the shampoo, with the price range on the right. And when you click on the product, you access to the list of the competitors. Here, we can see that the direct competitor is $5.90, so at least it can raise the price to $5.99 without any problem. But perhaps higher. Let's take a look on this direct competitor. If you click on it, you access to quality information to measure the popularity of this competitor. Here is 5% more expensive, and he has a bad page Google page rank, sorry. So probably he could go higher. And that's how we help Greg to optimize the pricing of this shampoo on all of his products. And if one competitor is changing the price on the shampoo, well, Greg will know, because we have alerts. We are at Le Camping in Paris. We launched 4 weeks ago. We have 18 trial users, 9 in the pipe. Our first trial users are now converting. We have 3 paying users, and more to come. And our users, they love our solution because they get visibility. Thomas discovered new competitors. Because they save time. Well, Christophe, he has seen many, Christophe, he has every week his intern was doing in once a year in 2 weeks. And Thomas, well, he gets margin because he has seen many products for which he can raise his price. We are business model, it's software as service. We have 3 different plans based on the number of features, and you have to add a variable part on the number of products. We target the medium stores. There are 2 million online stores in the world. We target the medium one, so it's 600,000 stores. That is our first target. We want to target, after that, large stores. And finally, we want to address to brands. Brands who want to monitor the price of their resellers. The roadmap, price depends on 3 things. It's competition, cost, and demand. Today, we have a solution to monitor the competition. Tomorrow, we want to use the historical sales data to forecast the future demand and do some yield management. On the more long-term vision, we want to be the pricing as a service company. So not only for retail, but also for even transport, hotel, or even app stores. We are looking for a client, of course, and we are looking for money, too. We are raising 500,000 euro. Well, no. We are a pricing company. We're looking for 4.99. What is the money for? We want to grow the tech team, we want to get some yield competence, and we want to accelerate the sale and international part. We are the easiest to use, and that's why eMerchant we choose us. We truly think that we are the next big tool that eMerchant will have to use. I would be pleased to answer your question. Thank you.
Very good. Well done. Well done. From our judges.
Well, I do think it is a good thing that startups don't have a pricing tool when we venture investors are getting around to our job. You know. I'm curious. You say that you look at competitors' pricing, but my understanding and my experience, I've invested in a price optimization company that does pricing for banks, so loans and those sorts of things, and it's a big data problem, right? It's ultimately a lot of data points, and then you figure out if you increase price, what happens to volume, if you decrease price, what happens to volume. And those things are independent of your competitors. So I'm wondering why you need to know what the competitor price is, as opposed to just doing A/B comparisons and determining what happens with sale price, et cetera.
We started with the competition solution because it's what a client wants. They want that first, and they are more focused on the price of the competition than on their cost or their historical data sales. But as you see, we want to add this information on the cost and the cost and the demand, and we want to use the historical sales data to forecast the future demand and yes, do some yield management and take into account all these parameters.
So you're starting with competitors' price because your customers are idiots. And they don't understand that that's actually not the relevant data point, right? I mean,
the price is the first thing that that customers look on internet. So it's relevant to be really focused on the price. And well, if someone had a better price, perhaps you will lose the sale. So I think it's not idiot to start with that. But of course, it's just one of the things that we can do to optimize pricing. Monitor the competition is the first one, and it's not the only one.
Great.
How do you think about the ROI for your customer? I mean, e-commerce providers are running on very thin margins, so they're not the one that tend to spend a lot on technology, so it's usually a hard sell. How do you come in and very quickly pitch, do a short demo and say, just if you buy my product for one, you get 10 back immediately. So do you have a way to think about it? And over time, how do you think that your customers are going to evaluate you against?
Yeah, of course we want to show how much we can make money for our clients, so we want to calculate the return on investment. Today it's too soon, we launched just one month ago, so metrics are not really too fresh, but the data of to know what is the competition first and what's the price of the competition, it's a big value for our client. And today, many people are interested. We have our first client, so it's the beginning, but it's really interesting for our client to have the data.
And your pricing, was this per month or per year again? What was your pricing?
Could you repeat, please?
The pricing that you showed, was this per month or per year?
Per month, sorry.
Per month,
yeah,
okay.
it's a subscription per month.
So my very brief question, is can you give us a bit background on you and the team and how you came up with the idea? So what is your background? What did you do before? Okay,
so my partner, Sylvain, the CTO, he founded 2 companies before, Josh Fire, so the music company, and Jamendo, which is a web agency in Paris. And well, he loved to organize events, technical events. For myself, I have a 7 years business controller experience, and I worked a lot on cost price and profitability issues. And I'm involved in the business family of the winery. And the idea comes with the problem of selling on internet and setting a price on internet. So this was how it started. And after that, we went to see a lot of e-merchants to understand their need. And well, they say, yes, we want to have the information about the competition, and we want to monitor the price of our competitors.
we have additional questions here.
And when you look at e-commerce, the two key dimensions that have made Amazon so successful and that others then trying to replicate is one, be the best price available on the market. Two is having the best service. How do you think about the notion of service in your roadmap, and how do you think you can integrate that? Be it customer review on the website, it could be shipping, so everything around the service.
Yes, we want to add quality information about the competitors. So the delivery, of course, but is it doing some promotion? Is it in stock, for example? And all the data will help to understand the price on the competitors. Definitely our solution allow the client to understand where he has to improve. Perhaps it's on the delivery, perhaps it's on the stock, and it's really important to have all these data in our platform. So we will have this information in the following months.
Great. Well, that is the time we have for questions. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations again to you. And to make sure that we make the judging very difficult for you, we have a completely different kind of company as our third finalist. So please welcome to the stage My Permissions.
Hi, good evening. My name's Olivier Amar. I am 1/8 of the great team that makes up My Permissions. I'm really excited to be here presenting our new offering in My Permissions, but first I'm going to give you guys a little bit of background on where we came from and that brought us to this point today, because there's a little bit of history here. So, does everyone remember these things? We used to store information on them, all our information. We used to protect it with antiviruses and firewalls. Well, the antiviruses and the firewalls are still there, but our information isn't. It's gone. It's all moved to the cloud. Our contacts, our photos, our videos, our emails, our business information, our files. Over the last couple of years, users have taken everything into the cloud. And that brings up a major question. What is privacy today? So privacy today, as we see it, starts with one question. Who has access to your information in the cloud? And we address that, by positioning ourselves between your information and the hundreds of thousands of sites and millions of applications that are out there that connect to it through third-party connection services like Facebook, Twitter, Google, and LinkedIn. We did that by releasing 3 products back in August 2012. The My Permissions Cleaner. It's a one-stop shop dashboard which lets users see, monitor, control, and manage all their permissions on a bunch of different social platforms. We extended that to live alerts to let users know exactly when new applications connected to the information so they can manage it. And finally, we created an iOS and Android app so that 24/7 users would have access to that information and see who was accessing it. And the consumers and the press love us, and we honestly believe that that's because we put their information, their personal information specifically, back under their control. Up till now, our users have run about 3.5 million manual scans through our software, through our application, and on mobile. We've logged the privacy and permission information on 270,000 apps. And at any given time, we know exactly what the most trusted apps are. We know it through our hundreds of thousands of users. We have crowdsourced trust. On the flip side, we also know which applications and which websites are the most removed and the most reported. But don't think that we're fanatics. We're not here to say, do not share, do not tweet, do not connect, do not anything. Absolutely not. We love the web. We understand that the next generation of apps are built on social platforms. And most of all, we love the web. We love the crowd. We love Facebook. We love Twitter. We really agree that in order to continue this incredible development we've seen over the last few years, it needs to be done over the social web. But what we've also seen, because of our unique perspective over privacy and helping users control who has access to the information, that users are connecting less and less. They're hesitating, that the lack of trust has become a barrier. Users are very hesitant to click the connect buttons because they're not sure what happens to their information and what will happen when they connect. Back in Paris at LeWeb, Onavo got on stage and presented the top 3 reasons that users revoke applications and negatively review them. And they showed us that excessive permissions was the #2 reason those users revoke them, remove them, and they did that because they feel violated. They honestly felt like they were cheated after they installed the applications. We also know, we took the top 10 brands that we found online, we took a look at their privacy policies, and if you were to install or use all these services, you'd literally have to get through 89 pages of privacy policies, long legal documents, in order to know what you were getting into. Privacy policies have gotten complicated. Transparency is not what they're about anymore. And that's why, here at LeWeb, we were extremely excited yesterday at the startup competition to announce the My Permissions Safe Certification Program. A safe certification program built on enabling developers to build trust in the social web. My Permissions' core responsibility to the program is to, 1, certify developers whose application, the value of the application meets the permissions that they're asking for. The second thing, resolve conflicts with users. And the third, to monitor not only the compliancy of developers, but also privacy as a whole, to make sure that the developers that are certified are always ahead of the game in privacy and are always stepping up towards their users. Developers, on their side, are going to build trust through transparency. And the 3 core questions that govern our certification program is what permissions they're asking for, why do they need those permissions, and most importantly, what they do with the information once they have it. Developers are going to enable that trust by adding the badge to their applications. This is Rounds, by the way. They're one of our beta testers. And users will then be able to click through the badge and go to the app certification page and see exactly why those developers are asking for the information and what permissions specifically they're using. We'll also enable the developers and the users to connect directly so that there's a direct line of communication to avoid misunderstanding and frustration on both sides. And finally, the payoff. The beta testers in our program have actually seen conversions increase between 5 and 8%. The 5 is really the minimum. Most of them are really up there just by adding the badge and having that page. And by developers, we mean all developers. Our basic certification is launching for free. We really understand that the major concern with certification programs until now in different verticals, because there's no one really in this space, is that they've been expensive and tedious to get through. You really need to assign somebody to it. So our lives are moving to the cloud. We're here to enable users to protect their privacy and developers to build trust in the new social web. Thank you.
Thank
it
you
was a
very
pleasure.
much. And now we turn to you for your questions.
Hi, judges.
So I'm trying to understand. At first, I thought that you were a service that would protect passwords, but that became clear that's not what you're doing. Then I thought that you were a product that would help sort out and make clear and understandable the privacy settings of different websites. Now, you're shaking your head. You're not that.
Absolutely
so
not.
I guess I'm not sure what it is that you're certifying. What is it that is it that you're enabling or you're preventing things from happening on behalf of the sites or consumers?
Our certification program aims to help developers build trust through transparency. And they're going to do that simply by conforming to our guidelines. And by guidelines, I mean when the developer offering has to meet the permissions that they're asking for. It's OK for a developer, a free app, to request geolocation, to target relevant ads, and to monetize. That's fine. But when an application requests your friend's work history, for example, there's no reason for that. I can't find any reason why I have to share a friend who hasn't given permissions work history. That's not value. So we're certifying that the permissions they're asking for are in line and that they don't violate the most important thing. Our red line is personally identifiable information. They don't share that, they don't violate that, and they respect it more than anything else.
So you look at the details of every permission, kind of. So you look at the details of what every company is doing and check it manually, or how does it happen?
Well, like I said, we built this product because we saw a need, a trust problem that we had, our consumers were having with developers. And we already know 270,000 applications, what permissions they're asking for, and how the reporter trusted. We know where there's problems. But we know the permissions in advance. We want the developers to be extremely clear about why they're asking. If they ask for a permission, they have to say why. If they're asking for your friend's work history, there needs to be a valid reason for it. If there's no valid reason, they shouldn't be there. We're also helping developers optimize their permissions by explaining to them that maybe asking for contacts up front isn't the right thing. Ask for basic information. Ask for contacts if the user wants to share post. That's how this all started for us, actually.
So just to make clear that I understand, so an application asks, for example, for 10 different permissions. If they want to be certified, they give you the reason for every single permission they ask, and then you access this, you kind of sit there and judge it. Okay, is this right or not?
Right, and not only that.
So this is a manual process that involves your service people sitting or your...
That's right, and once that's done, we publish the data of the permission so that the users know what they're getting into when they visit the certified app page. That's exactly correct. There is a manual process here. There's no way around it. It's a subjective decision over whether it's a valid reason.
So the basic free version that you offer, you still have cost in providing this free version?
Absolutely.
So what is the revenue model? So who is going to pay for the service eventually? Are you charging the consumers? Are you going to charge the developers for certification? It wasn't clear to me where how the money is going to flow.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I rushed through the last couple of slides because I was afraid to go over time again. But it's a tiered model. So basic certification will always remain for free. We really want to build this ecosystem. We really want developers to build trust. It benefits both the users and the developers. That being said, there's a premium certification model that we're going to launch before the end of the year. It's much more extensive. We can call it a sort of trust dashboard, where the developers will be very much in touch with what's going on in real time with their users. And with that, they'll be able to optimize their process and increase conversions further from the 5 to 8% that we've seen already.
So how is the LeWeb app? Did it pass certification, or is it asking for my salary?
Do you know what?
Posting tweets as you.
Yeah,
that's what
exactly. Everything is coming from @DavidHornik.
Well, you saw the slide, right? You saw the slide. We love LeWeb. Absolutely.
Thank you.
So why make a set of judgments as opposed to transparency, which says, hey, here's what they're requesting. Tell us whether these things are acceptable to you, right? So instead of, it's still a process of, oh, here are the things that they're requesting, but maybe I would say, oh, it's perfectly fine if you want the browsing history of my friends. Mm-hmm. And yet the way your process goes, you say, nah, this is not an appropriate thing to ask for in this context. So have you considered the alternative, which is let people make those judgments as opposed to you?
Well, like I said, we have hundreds of thousands of users, and we do have securities in place that we know when ratios are out of whack. You could be a very big app, but if you have tons of removals and tons of reports, there's an issue there, and we track that, and that definitely affects certification on the flip side. We're definitely taking a look, and if things are out of whack, we contact the developer and we figure it out why. Again, we're working with the developer towards building trust. Our main goal isn't to sink the developers into the ground. It's really to help elevate them to a point where the social web is trusted, as opposed to the condition right now where users are seriously hesitant to connect. It's become a problem.
And that, again, is the time we have. But thank you very much. And again, congratulations for your
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
So we've gone from 400 to 16 to 3, and we now need to go backstage and confer and come up with one. So,
and I'm really happy because we have, I like what diversity, and we have a British startup, a French startup, and an Israeli startup. So that's cool. And well, the second thing I like is that it's coherent with the data sift buzz on social networks. So because those three were like at the top, so that's pretty cool too. That means the judges are not completely crazy, which is good news as well.
I need data sift for my personal meetings every week. I can sit down and then the crowds can say, oh, fund this one. That would be very helpful.
Yeah, you would get rid of everyone you shouldn't talk to.
I'll just tweet it out there and see how it goes. All
exactly.
Right.
So we'll send you backstage.
We'll head backstage, gentlemen.
And make the good choices. Be careful.